Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are working on the third block in the Dear Jane quilt series. It is pretty simple block. It's going to be an applique block. I've marked out where my applique pieces need to go on the back of my fabrics here. I have got the little leaf shapes because they look like leaves. I've got them already pressed on here with some freezer paper. I'm going to use that method in order to secure these in place, and then I'm just going to do needle turn applique to attach them to this background fabric. I'm going to go ahead and I'll cut these apart right now while I've got you with me. So we just need about 1/4 of an inch on each side of these. And I'm just going to get them into a square shape for now. And then I'll just take my scissors and I will just carefully cut about 1/4 of an inch. So you guys, I'm going to take you over to my other table so that I have a seat that I can turn these under. I'll bring you over there with me and we will start getting these turned under and attached to our background square. Okay guys, so we are over at my ironing board and we are going to be putting on our, we're going to be getting the seam allowances attached to these flowers so that when we go to sew them down, they're already taken care of and we just have to stitch. We don't have to worry about tucking those under with like traditional needle turn. So what I've done is I've removed the petals off the back after we got them cut out, and now I'm going to iron them to the other side of the freezer paper. So that's the side we wrote on, which is the matte side that doesn't have any of the little, I think it's a wax, I'm pretty sure it's a wax, the waxy stuff that keeps it attached to the fabric. So I'm going to put it onto there upside down so that I can iron it on and it'll hold my seam allowance in place while I stitch. I'm going to be using my Clover Mini iron that I've got. I got it from Joann's. I can put a link for you down in the description if you'd like. So I'm going to pull down the tips in order to make sure that they are exactly where I want them. So I'm just going to hold those down in place if I can get it to stay. So I'll hold that down and we'll just iron it in place. And I don't know if my iron's yet hot enough. So we'll just hold that there, get it ironed down. There we go. So we're just ironing down the tip there so that it holds that piece in place right where our tip starts, and then we're going to go to the other side and we're going to keep it flat on the table. We're going to keep it flat. And we're going to pull down this side. And we're going to iron that one in place. That's probably the hardest part about getting this, is getting those corners in place, because the piece is kind of fiddly still. And then we just slowly fold back the fabric and iron it. If you get tucks on the front, just go ahead, pull it off and start over. It's pretty much what you have to do, because you don't want it tucking on the front. We're trying to keep our points nicely in shape. I mean, you do have a lot of fabric that's converging onto that point, so I mean, it's not going to be like super pointy, but it'll be what it needs to be. bit worried about that spot giving me a slight point. So there we go, we've got that done. It's all sewn, or all ironed into place. So now we'll just do the next one. I've got 2 of them already done, so you guys don't have to watch me do all of these. But we'll go and we'll get this one done. Okay, so we've got those all done. They are all stitched. Okay guys, so we've got them all into the spot that they need to be on, and we're gonna just glue them down just so that they stay where we've put them while we're stitching. And I've just got a little glue stick here. I'm actually gonna take it and glue some of these little points in place too. Sorry you can't see that. So basically I just put a little dab of the glue stick on my corners here where there's nothing that's holding them down. So in order for those to stay tucked while I'm stitching and they don't get in the way, I'm just putting a little dab of glue on them. And then I'm just going to put it right in the center here. And I'm going to put it in place. And that should hold it down while I am stitching. I'm going to move my iron onto the stand. So once again, I'm just putting a little bit of glue back behind. This is a huge glue stick. Could be doing this with a different glue, but it's not within reach. So glue the back a little bit. And I'm not planning to reuse these, so these ones I don't mind that I'm gonna have to tear them out. So the goal is to keep your points matched as nicely as possible. So we've got that in place so that we are ready to start stitching that. I might move this one just a little bit over. See, like I said, that glue like literally barely holds it on, which is great. Makes it so you can easily move it if you need to. Okay, so we've got that done, and now we just have to start stitching. I'm going to grab some thread and a needle, and I will get right back to you. Okay guys, so I've got my needle threaded. I'm going to just do a quick quilter's knot. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put the thread down the needle towards the tip. Hold that needle, go to the end of your thread, wrap it around, hold it with your thumb, wrap it around at least 3 times, and then just pull down the length of the thread, and you end up with a knot. So that's just called a quilter's knot. It's a really simple, basic knot. It holds it into place, which is what we want it to do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to applique this in place. I'm going to come from behind, and I'm just going to grab a tiny bit of that fabric, and then I'm going to pull it forward, and we're going to go forward, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab a little bit of the background fabric, we're going to grab a little bit of our applique piece, just the corner of it. We're just catching it in, we're just catching it to tack it in place. And we're just going to go down the length of all of these pieces and do the same thing. So I wonder if I can get this closer for you guys so you can see it a little better. So you grab a tiny bit of that background fabric and just the edge, just the very edge of your fabric for your little leafy piece, and you pull it, and that's all you do. So I'm just going to continue. I'm going to get these all stitched into place, and I will be back when I've got them done to show you what we do next. Alright guys, so I have got that all stitched on. All of my pieces are attached. So now we have to remove that freezer paper from the back. So we're going to turn it over to the back side, and we're going to just cut a very small little slit in order to get our scissors back in there. And I've got that glue there, so we want to be careful that we're only getting the paper. We're not trying to push through the front. We don't want to cut any of our actual fabric. That would be terrible. And we're just cutting 1/4 of an inch away from the stitches that we created. And my stitches are, you can barely see them because they're like blending into the background fabric really well. So I'm being super careful to make sure that I don't cut through my stitches, I don't cut through my fabric on the front. Now we just have to remove our freezer paper. So we're going to pull that back lightly, get that paper, get the corner of the paper, unless you stitch through it. Maybe I probably did. And we're just going to tug very gently. You're not like pulling too hard because you don't want to distort it too much. We'll iron it back into place if we need to. But that's about it. That's how you get those freezer papers out. That I'm just going to throw in the trash can. I don't want to keep it. And we have got it stitched on. We've reduced some of that bulk on the front. And I'm going to remove all of those. Shouldn't take too long. I've seen people just take a seam ripper to get the cut started. Me, I'm too scared to do that. I would be terrified. I would cut all the way through, and that would suck. So I just use my scissors. I go very carefully and cut everything out. I'm left with tiny little bit of garbage scrap that will just go over there in my trash pile. Pull that out. Now, if you're intimidated by starting an applique block, it's not terrible to do. It's just a little time consuming because it is hand stitched. You could totally do this on your sewing machine. You'll just see those stitches, like they'll just be visible stitches, which is totally okay too. I mean, it's your quilt. Do what you want to do. Do it the way you want to do it. Whatever makes you the most comfortable. If you wanted to use some heat and bond and just attach them with heat and bond and then do a top stitch on the top of those to keep them in place, do that. It's yours. Make it your way. No one says you can't. No one says you shouldn't. And if they do, oh well. It's yours. We're just about done here. I'm going to cut off this last little bit, remove the last paper. I'll do a quick press. I'm going to put some best press on it just to kind of stiffen it up a little bit. so that it all looks pretty. And then because we cut this in the beginning to 5 inches, we shouldn't have to recut this at all. It should be just fine. I will go back over to my cutting board, measure it one more time, make sure I am accurate. But so there is that block, you guys. It is finished, and we are going to be on to the next one. It was a pretty quick one. I think the next one's going to be a little bit more time consuming. We are going to be doing some paper piecing. I will show you how to do that. Paper piecing is super easy once you learn how. It is a little bit of backwardsness to it because you have to work backwards, but it's not too bad. And I hope that you will continue watching. I hope that you are enjoying this series. Please leave a comment down below if you are. And please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching again, guys.